Hey, what's up everybody? I'm back with another cast. So we have Cruncher spawning at the top left, and we have my one of the most favorite Zerg players, Spanishiwa. And what's interesting about Spanishiwa is he kind of created his own build. And I'm just going to basically jump right into the game. So the build that Spanishiwa came up with is by 40 supply, you'll drop down both of his gas at his main and at his expansion. And basically, this is how the build works. The way he fends off attacks are with just regular lings. He's not going to get any speed because he's not getting any gas. And he's going to fend off with queens, spine crawlers, whatever he needs to do to fend off whatever force the Protoss or the Terran is going to come at him with. So he's actually pretty effective with this build, and sometimes I'll see some players trying to emulate his build, or they'll try to do a variation of it. And you know, there are a lot of variations you can do off of this build. You could do 30 supply and then drop both of your gas at your main, and then later drop both of your other gas at your expansion by 40 supply. There are a ton of other variations you can do with this kind of build. And Cruncher, he's actually a pretty good Protoss player. I've watched a few casts with him. I have not watched some casts with him. I just watched some casts of him in general. And I've seen him play before, just some general replays, all the other good stuff. So this is a fairly large map. This is Typhon Peaks. And basically you'll see players start to expand, kind of go down, kill these rocks potentially. Or actually, no, never mind. They'll expand over here, and then they'll start expanding. Like, this would be their third expo. And you never want to get a Protoss off of 3 base. Otherwise, they're just going to max out 200 army with tons of upgrades. And it's nearly impossible for a Zerg player to stop. And that's what you call the Protoss Death Ball. How do you stop a Protoss Death Ball? You don't. I'm just kidding. It's possible to stop a Protoss Death Ball, unless if he has really bad micro, you're going to have a pretty difficult time trying to kill it off. What I see some players do, some pretty innovative builds, is they'll load up all their overlords with banelings, and they'll just drop over it. Like, what I see, what's a really good build that I saw a Zerg player do once is the Protoss player is moving around the map. You know, he has a maxed out Protoss army, 200, and then the Zerg player sends all his lings. Protoss, you know, just surrounds himself with force fields so that way the lings can't get the surround or do any damage. Then all of a sudden, all these overlords filled with a bunch of banelings. Protoss army isn't going anywhere. The Colossus are not stomping over the force fields fast enough. Just drop all the banelings on the clumped up Protoss army, and you're basically going to kill it off with a relative ease. Sure, it's going to cost a lot to kill the Protoss army off, and you might even lose more resources as a matter of fact because of it. But if you're a good Zerg player, you're going to have more bases than the Protoss player, and you're going to have a lot more stockpiled resources. So it looks like he is going to do the Spanishiwa build. It looks like he's just going to build up until 40 supply and then get his gas. And the reason why you want to, like, the reason why he does this kind of build is because it's super economical. It's just going to set you up for the later game, for the meta game. It's not to set up any kind of cheese or anything like that. It's just basically a really good economic build in general to do. So we just see him just droning up really heavily. He's getting pretty close to dropping down his gas. Excuse me, I have not put on the replay timer in the productions tab. So we see him a little bit heavily investing into spine crawlers, 2 drones. That could have been 2 drones that were mining and all that other stuff. But he wants to do that for a safety precaution measure, because if we look at the income, he's going to be relatively even, and the stalker's going to try to get inside. And it is going to be successful. He will most likely lose the stalker, but I'd say it's highly worth it for the Protoss player, because he's going to be able to delay Zerg mining, and he's going to get a full scout around the base, and he's going to know exactly what Spanishiwa is up to. He might even get a few drone kills if he's lucky. He might even escape with the stalker. He already has 2 kills. I'm assuming it's from lings, and he's just going to have both of these queens over here. He actually does see the proxy pylon with his overlord, and he's getting a little bit worried right now. He's going to possibly move over the spine crawlers. He's maybe worried about a counterattack coming at his front or something like that. But he is sending over all of his drones. He should have saw this coming, and he might lose a couple of his queens, which is not that, which is kind of a big deal. But this is the thing, though. He's doing the Spanishiwa build. He doesn't have any gas. He's making a bunch of spine crawlers. He's going to have a ton of minerals to be able to fend this off. He's just going to make as many zealots as possible. He's finally moving over his spine crawlers. I don't know what he was waiting before. I don't think he was afraid of a counterattack. I guess he didn't realize what was happening when he saw that proxy pylon. So he could run down over here. That might be a good idea. But, I mean, he does have 2 spine crawlers, and he was trying to anticipate that the Protoss player would run or something like that. And he does have quite a few lings, and he does have a bunch of queens. And is he creating more queens? Yes, he is. He's just going to do whatever he can. He needs to transfuse on that queen. He does beautiful transfuse. Is he going to be able to clean up this Protoss army with ease? This is so much DPS going into the Protoss army because look how many queens this is. Look how many lings. He's just going to keep transfusing. The beautiful hold by Spanishiwa. Just multi-pronged attacks coming from the Protoss player because he came from this angle and then he came from this angle. He even has another proxy pylon to back this one up as well. And Spanishiwa still not getting any gas. If we set on the productions tab, just getting some overlords because he's actually supply block. But if we look at the units lost, it's relatively even. He's going to need to back up these queens. He might lose another one. No, he is not. And he should really take out this proxy pylon. He doesn't have to worry about it right now because there's nothing in place for the pylon to see on the higher ground. But he's just going to keep microing back and forth, being annoying with his stalkers. He does not want the stalkers to run in. That would be kind of a bad scenario. But the queens are on creep. The creep has spread far enough into the main. And he's going to be able to run back and forth with relative ease and just keep transfusing on the spine crawlers. He's finally grabbing his gas. He should grab this one as well. I mean, should start mining off of it. He does get one stalker, and that's going to allow the warp in a bunch of zealots. So does he have enough to fend this off? I mean, this is only gateway units, and he's losing a lot of links to this. I'm not sure if this was really worth it to send that many links over there. But then again, it's Protoss units. Whatever you can do to prevent him from getting into death ball. But on the back of this, if you can see, Cruncher's going for an expo, and sorry, there was a lot of spit accumulating inside of my mouth. But anyways, Cruncher's going for his expo, and look how many queens he has. That's a lot of creep he's going to be able to get across the map pretty fast. And this is the thing about the Spanishiwa build, just spine crawlers, slings, and queens to fend off this attack. Now, if it was a Terran player, I would say this would be kind of different scenario because eventually the siege tanks are going to be able to overpower everything, and yeah, it's just not a very good scenario unless if he just runs in with complete everything, just drones, queens, lings. I don't know. I think the siege tanks, 2 or 3 siege tanks, would do quite a lot of damage. But I don't know. I haven't really seen a Spanishiwa build versus a Terran player. I've seen it mostly work against Protoss players. I'm not sure if it would be that feasible. But anyways, back to this awesome game. If we look at the income, Spanishiwa is actually really far ahead in workers, and Cruncher has not been able to cause enough damage to the worker line of Spanishiwa. So he's actually making a macro hatchery. He's just trying to anticipate that he's gonna be accumulating a lot of minerals. And he is getting a Banelings next, and that's actually a little curious. I'm wondering what he's going to do with that. And Cruncher, knowing he's a little bit far behind, he knows he needs to cause a little bit of damage. And he's just going to go straight for the main hatchery because he knows Spanishiwa does not... He does have his lair. Okay. He might actually get this hatchery. I would assume he would have made a overseer over here. Yeah, that's... Oh, he might actually be able to save the main hatchery. He's just going to go for the drones now. That's actually really good thinking by Spanishiwa to use transfuse. I was wondering. Here's what the thinking was going behind Spanishiwa's... what was just going behind the curtains, I guess. He was waiting for Cruncher to get it down to low health, and he didn't want Cruncher to focus on the drones at all, which is why he was letting the Dark Templars waste as much time as possible killing the hatchery, so that when the Overseer comes, he'd be able to snipe the Dark Templars, causing minimal damage to his drone line. And the Dark Templars just practically just only killed Lings. And I'm sorry I didn't click on the Dark Templars to show how many kills they got. That was kind of a mistake on my part. But look how oversaturated he is. So hopefully that makes sense. He was basically wasting the Dark Templar's time trying to kill the hatchery, and then he ran over with his queens to transfuse. I didn't even think about that. That's just so innovative. How innovative these Grandmaster players are. Now, at the time of when these players were playing, that's a little redundant, but anyways, they were both Master League, and they're now in Grandmaster League. SpanishWa is definitely. Cruncher is as well. He's going to get a nice scout off with his Changeling, see what the Protoss player is up to, and Cruncher is going to go for his third Expo. Highly recommend this because he's keeping the Zerg player really contained right now, and I'm just wondering, what is SpanishWa going to do? When is he going to go for his third Expo? I'm just thinking, he hasn't even killed this proxy pylon yet. At least he killed this other pylon over here. Set down a spine crawler. And he is going for infestors. I'm really curious what the SpanishWa is going to do. And, oh yeah, I remember. I was about to comment on why he's getting his Baneling Nest. You don't really see that very often against Protoss because Protoss units are mostly considered armored and they can spread their units out pretty easily, but you normally don't want to spread out their units because of one main reason, because Lings can get a surround on it and you're basically screwed. And is this what SpanishWa is up to? He's setting down another Nidus Swarm. If this Nidus Swarm is focused down, he could just transfuse on it pretty easily, and he's just going to start spreading creep around. And this is actually really interesting play by him. This was a major fault on Cruncher's part, not setting down a pylon right behind the grass area. The Protoss buildings cannot see behind that grass area, which is this thing, which is why you need a proxy pylon over here. And I'm just really surprised at how effective this attack is going to be. He's going to be able to take out the main base practically of Cruncher, and he's going to be able to basically just severely kill the production capability of Cruncher. And I would say this attack was pretty successful. Is he going to transfuse on that queen? No, he's not transfusing. And he luckily does have an Overseer here to be able to kill off those Dark Templars. I would have recommended him making the... Actually, they were pretty effective. They did kill quite a lot, and he is going to need to back up all his units. He does lose another Stalker. He might even lose this Colossus. A major mistake on his part. I don't even think the poor fellow could even drop down over there, but this was a pretty effective build by SpanishWa. Maybe it wasn't able to run down because those infestors were able to get a fungal growth on it, and he can just keep infinitely transfusing because do you know how much energy all these queens have? They do crap damage against buildings, but that's okay. He can just keep reinforcing with Lings. Might even get a few Hydralisks to start jumping, or not to start jumping, to start shooting down at the buildings from down below. And if we look at the income, did he run all his probes away? Yes, he did. He's way far ahead in the probe lead by at least, I can do math, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 probes, something like that, 14. And he is getting his extended thermal lance to be able to deal with this attack. And he's setting down more infestors, and that's why he got the infestors, to get the infested Terran. I would assume that Mutalisk would have been a better option, but at the same time, oh, actually doing Neuroparasite on the Colossus, and he's going to be able to kill both of these off. That was actually really good play on SpanishWa's part. I guess Cruncher was not expecting that, and wow, he's just getting ransacked right now. I don't even know if this Void Ray is going to be able to save him. He's going to lose this Void Ray as well. This Neuroparasite really paying for itself, being able to kill 2 Colossus and a Void Ray. If we look at the units, lost to Cruncher is way far behind, so this Expo is not really paying for itself at all, and it all came down to these Nidus Worms and Cruncher not being able to cause enough damage in the early game. SpanishWa going for his third Expo, and he was just taking advantage of whatever he could possibly do. He's probably going to drone on the back of this as well, and he had a lot of minerals accumulating, which was why he was going for his third hatchery anyway. He's trying to be a good macro player as well, sending reinforcement links so that way he can attack from both angles as well, getting another narrow parasite on the Colossus. And you know, at this point, what am I going to be able to do? There are 3 Nidus Worms, and this was actually a really interesting game. This was very innovative on SpanishWa's part. to use some Nitro Swarms and to use his queens, his leftover queens, to cause an attack and to spread creep around. And I found this game to be pretty entertaining, and hopefully you found it to be entertaining as well. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll possibly see you guys next time, if you want to watch.